She skillfully hid in the bathroom and answered a phone call from her husband. But before she could say more than a few words, her expression suddenly changed. She quickly hung up the phone. The next second, her colleague walked in. Not knowing whether her husband had seen that moment, she had no choice but to ask her colleague to take her home. However, her husband kept calling, and Anna, worried about being discovered, could only keep hanging up. But before the car had driven far, the fuel gauge suddenly showed empty. The colleague was very confused because he had just filled up the tank yesterday. With no time to think, the two of them had to go to a nearby gas station. Unbeknownst to them, their car had already been tampered with. Even more, neither of them realized that danger was approaching. While her colleague was refueling, Anna walked into a convenience store to buy a cup of coffee. When she went to the cashier to pay, she realized there was no clerk at all. She had no choice but to place the cash on the counter. But when she looked up, she was horrified to discover that the shelves were covered in blood. Anna instinctively tried to escape. Just as she reached the door, a bullet suddenly hit her arm. The sudden incident terrified her. She endured the intense pain and moved behind the shelves to take cover. Panicked, she quickly scanned her surroundings. Seeing bullet holes in the glass, Anna realized she was still within the sniper's range. She hurried to hide behind another row of shelves. Looking at her bleeding arm, Anna took off her coat and briefly bandaged the wound. Then she moved to the end of the shelves and shouted loudly for her colleague outside. However, her colleague was still sitting in the car listening to music, completely unaware of what was happening inside the store. Helpless, Anna had no choice but to try to save herself. At that moment, she noticed her phone lying near the entrance. Just as she was about to retrieve it and call the police, the phone was suddenly shot away. Anna was instantly overwhelmed by despair. Then, a man's voice suddenly came from the cashier counter. Anna quickly looked around. Only then did she realize it was coming from the intercom on the counter. A glimmer of hope appeared in her heart, but the distance, with no cover in between, left her completely unsure of what to do.